Hello, welcome back to Just for Today. I'm Jamal Normani.
Hey, I'm Miranda, the addict.
And today we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments. I think religion gets a bad name. I think in everything there's a good and a bad, not necessarily in everything, but in a lot of the things, people can take things the wrong way. Because there's always going to be bad in everything. Like, there's nothing that's like perfect. As far as like perception wise, like there's always going to be those bad eggs, those couple bad eggs, those couple bad tomatoes that rot, and then people will base their perspective on those things, and then that's what they go off of versus the whole. They focus on that small little thing, that imperfection. And I think that happens with religion, right? Like, people say religion's politics and things like that, but I think that's because false information, like maybe somebody's hurt you or said something, or maybe you have issues with, maybe there's a control factor there. Like, we've been learning in church a lot, how things are not made to control you, right? That God has rules in place, guidelines really is what they are, to make things easier on you, versus, if you follow these things, your life should be easier, but because we want to do things our way, or because so-and-so said something, or because I went to the church and they wouldn't let me do this, which falls into do things my way, or I went to Becky's, going out and going to church and then drinking the next day and going to clubs. Like, perception on those few bad things, I think it ruins the whole bunch, and people get the wrong idea. So we thought that we'd go over the 10 Commandments. Have you ever known the 10 Commandments before this? Never? Okay. Yeah, I mean, in Sunday school and things like that as a kid, I know we've been over it, but it's always good to get a refresher. So again, though, these are guidelines. These are not saying that this is how you have to do things or anything like that. These are guidelines. That's the whole point. God isn't here to make us do things. That's why we have free will. Like, he'll guide us and help us, but ultimately it's our decision. And if we mess up, whether it's us gets affected, your children, your children's children, like Adam and Eve, why we're all like this in the first place, it's ultimately on us. We have dominion. So
the 10 Commandments. Number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. Number 2, you shall make no idols. Number 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord in vain. Number 4, keep the Sabbath day holy. Number 5, honor your father and mother. Number 6, you shall not murder. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. Number 8, you shall not steal. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Number 10, you shall not covet.
I mean, a lot of these are kind of self-explanatory, but we'll just go through them. 1 and 2 are kind of, basically the same, So the thing is, though, it's not just as simple as Christian, Catholic, Buddhist, things like that. Of course, God wants you to be there for him. It's like having a relationship with somebody, right? You don't want your girlfriend to have another boyfriend, and things like that. Like, it's one-on-one, or whatever the case is. It's a relationship, is the way that we think about it, right? But also, idols can also aren't necessarily God. It could be like your car or football. You can't wait till Sunday. You don't go to church because the football game comes before church and God. Drugs. I need to. This is the thing that I always have to do to make me feel better. I'm not going to God. I'm going to these drugs, right? That's kind of what idols are. They're not necessarily a god or a statue or anything like that. It's something that you're holding over above God, where it's supposed to be God, and then everything else falls into play. Anything to add on that?
Shall not take the name of the Lord in vain. What does that mean?
So, you should not take the Lord's name in vain. So, people say God and then DAM or whatever, like preceding a cuss word, or you're taking it in vain. You're putting a bad annotation on God's name. So it's kind of self-explanatory, like you stub your toe, God, and you say whatever. So that's what that is. So the word vain meaning useless, or no meaning. Worthless. Yeah, so you're just putting in a bad night, bad with God's name, basically. Before is keep the Sabbath day holy. Realistically, so that's the day you were supposed to be focused on God. We should all be on the same system. I hate the fact, especially here in Vegas, how we have we can work whenever 24/7 city, so we're always open. Kind of like how in Utah, when you go to Utah and everything's closed on Sunday, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the holy day, day of rest. You should be focusing on God, not necessarily sleeping all day or all that. You're supposed to be focused on God. But yeah. Number 5, honor thy mother and thy father. I mean, that's self-explanatory. If more people honored their parents, there'd be less issues.
It turns into but if your mother and father follow 1 through 4, it'd be easier. It's I think we're the whole world system and everybody's all messed up because not every mother and father are on the right path.
Everything's connected. Yeah, everything's connected. There's a chain of things. If you're not doing this and you try to do this, of course,
So it's hard to honor your mother or your father if they're not good role models. If they're
out there doing drugs and teaching you to do bad, then it is hard. And a lot of people grow up that way, in bad households and everything else, because some people just don't know any better. They don't know God, or they don't. Everything's messed up everywhere. We've gotten so far away from all this that now it seems like you're crazy when you're doing this stuff. So it's crazy. 6, thou shalt not murder. Straightforward. Don't kill people. I mean, just don't do it. There's no point. But I get...
You have to trust the justice system.
Yeah, but then also those people are killing people. Cops kill people. All this sort of thing.
Nobody's following steps 1 through 5.
Yep. Yeah. Again, the system is just all messed up, all out of order. If people are following these things, we wouldn't need to kill people. It's or need or whatever.
Well, but if your child was murdered or something, you have that hate, and it's but again, you have to learn to forgive, right? And it's how can you forget someone that murdered your child? And so you just have to be aligned with God to understand why you need to forgive someone who did harm.
Yeah, but why was your kid murdered in the first place?
Yeah, exactly, because everyone's not aligned with steps 1 through 5.
So if they were following all these steps, your kid wouldn't get murdered.
It could be somebody that's crazy, wrong place at the wrong time, or crossing the road,
Well, would you really be mad at somebody that if your kid jumped in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, that's not...
I'm saying that my kid jumped in the middle of the street, but what if they're crossing the street in a crosswalk, somebody wasn't paying attention and just hit your child? Not drinking or anything like that. Accidents happen. But if that happened, you have... I know I would have this anger, but I would have to forgive,
Yeah.
I'd have to forgive. But again, so that feeling of if you're not aligned with God, you'd want to kill that person.
But if they did that, that's murder, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they did it and it's even if it's on accident, because they're not paying attention, that's still murder.
Yeah.
So they should be paying attention. If they were paying attention and following everything and taught correctly to not be on their cell phone and all this stuff to pay attention, then that would never happen.
I'm saying, like, you know, somebody could just be in a zone, you know. I know there's times where I'm driving home and it's like, wait a minute, I don't remember driving the past 2 minutes, you know.
That's not
in
good.
Your thoughts.
Yeah, I know, but that's not good. Like, it should be harder to get our licenses, like how it is in like Germany. Like, not everybody has licenses. Like, we take that for granted so much. Like, and you can kill somebody instantly by driving. It's just crazy to me when you really think about it. Like, that's probably one of the most dangerous things you can do, and we do it every day. It shouldn't be that easy to get licenses, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, don't kill people.
Yeah, don't kill people. Killing people's bad. Anything else on that one? Mm-mm. 7, you shall not commit adultery. It's also straightforward. You're with somebody because you're supposed to be building the future. A lot of issues with people come from things like this. Like, and then it becomes a thing that's something else. You know, you cheat on somebody, and then your other is mad, and then now they're trying to hurt this other person, and then it's domestic violence and like this revenge thing. But yeah, adultery, just don't do it. I mean,
adultery would happen again if you're following steps 1 through 6, to where if you have a marriage that's committed to God, there wouldn't be no like lurking on the outside, you know. Like, if you treat your wife or you treat your husband the way God, you know, loves His church, you're just gonna stay connected.
Yeah.
So again, it all falls into, you gotta like follow these guidelines.
Not just that, these are like the basics. Like, there's deeper iterations and stuff in the Bible. Like, if we read the Bible, broke it down, understood it, all this stuff, our lives would be so much easier. It's to, like our pastor says, it's to protect us from us, basically, because we want to feel and do things in the moment, and it takes a second, you know, a couple minutes to commit adultery, right? Like, and then you can't take it back. It takes a couple minutes to murder somebody. You know, you can't take it back. Once it's done, it's done. You know, but it's to protect us from ourselves. We need to read the Bible to understand it, and not just go by. So many people say stuff about things and they have no idea, like they've never studied it. I don't want to go to church. Why? Yeah, because it's exercise. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying stuff because of what you've heard, or what? Like, did you study it yourself? Did you try to figure any of these stuff out?
Or, I mean, I've known stories of people going to church and legitimately being judged, but again, those people aren't following. You know, you're not supposed to judge.
Yeah.
Even though it's not in the commandments, but like, you know, there's that judgment. You know, like, you should just love one another.
So stuff like that comes from. That's what I said earlier, though. The bad eggs. There's a couple. You know, the bad eggs that ruin it for everybody.
A lot of bad eggs, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad people in general. We've gotten so far away from all this stuff that we don't even understand anymore. But none of these things some of these things aren't in the 10 Commandments, but there are things that are in the Bible but you have to study the Bible just like anything else, like going to school and everything else. You have to study something to understand it. You can't just assume or go off of feelings. But I get why you would never give it a chance if you've had that bad experience like that. So it's, you know, the devil wins. So 8, thou shalt not steal. I mean, that's also straightforward. Thou shalt not steal. You take it from somebody else. No matter how you feel about it, the system needs to be changed as a whole. I think that sometimes it would be legitimately hard. Like, I can't imagine living in the days of like Lord of the Rings, or like what's that? Daenerys Dragon. What's this show called? Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like with swords and stuff. You know, I don't know what point I was getting at. I sometimes get why, you know, to survive. Sometimes people think it's better to steal. Like minimum wage is what, 8? But how much is minimum wage?
No, I think they raised it.
what?
About $8 to $9.
$8 to $9. You cannot live off of $8 or $9. I know it's supposed to be meant for kids, but minimum wage is not supposed to be for kids. Like, if the minimum wage is what it's supposed to be, the minimum requirement to live. So I get how it's easy for people to fall into that one, to start stealing or to live in a different life like that. Number 9, you should not bear false witness to your neighbor. I think that just means lying, right? Like you won't lie on people.
You don't blame other people for things that they didn't do.
Yeah, it's pretty much just lying. You don't want to lie about somebody to somebody else, whether to make yourself get ahead or lying in general. Like, there's nothing really good comes from lying. So that's kind of straightforward. But 10, you shall not covet. What does that mean to you?
I don't know what covet means.
You shall not covet. Covet basically meaning you shall not yearn or want to possess. So you don't want other people's things, or you want somebody else's car, their life, or whatever the case is. All these kind of synergize with each other a little bit, and in a way you're repeating. But if you were to be able to follow just these 10 steps, it's that foundation to start on. It's there's so much more to how to live your life, but again, reading the Bible will help you through a lot of it.
I think I've committed all of them, or I haven't committed. How did I say that? Like, I've broken every single one except for maybe one.
Yeah.
Not pretty sure. One. I don't think I murdered anyone.
You don't think you murdered anyone?
Yeah. Yeah. You get caught up in the world.
Yeah.
The world system.
Yeah. The world chew you up and spit you out. It's hard to... Some of these things are hard to get out of, but I think we're going to go further into detail into some things because... I don't know. I feel like this goes hand in hand with everything. We all have to learn how to treat each other, how to be, and a lot of people don't have that opportunity to know any of this stuff or haven't looked into it. Ultimately, our channel in general is about growing and learning in general. So, whether it is drugs or, with God and everything else. Because so many people, I feel like, click off of things because as soon as you start talking about God, they don't want to hear it, but for the wrong reason. So give back. I want to give back. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Leave us a comment below. Did you know, not that you know about 10 Commandments, but have you ever really broken it down and thought about what everything really means? Did we change your perception on anything? Like I said, leave us a comment below. We can have a detailed conversation about that. But like, share, subscribe, do all the things, but most importantly, just remember to keep coming back.
Stay clean.
Thanks. Bye. You have a script?
I'm reading the commandments.
So what? You're gonna read them all? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what that is. You didn't know that for real?
Well, I didn't know if it meant something else, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I took it, but
yeah.
I needed it explained to me like I was 5.
And vain is to... Let's look up the definition of vain.
No, that's vain. V-A-I-N. Again. Useless. Worthless. Empty. So no meaningless behind the Lord.
Sabbath day, that's Sunday then. Or is it Saturday?
Sabbath. No, it's Sunday.
It is Sunday, right? Revenge thing and... Is that a shadow outside? Or was it a gnat? Okay. Saw it in the corner of my eye.
Do you think something was flying at you?
No, I thought it was a gnat. I just saw a shadow and I swung at it. Whatever.
I don't know what covet means. I already forgot what you told me. What'd you say?
I forgot to.
How are you gonna go over the 10 Commandments?
What? Some of these things are hard to get out of, but I think we're gonna go first. Got anything else?
No.